is up, YouTubers, lovers of budget cars and bikes and vans in this instance. As you can see, we have been getting on with stuff. I did actually film all of this carpeting and I lost it. I don't know what happened when it transferred over to the computer. It just disappeared, and it also deleted it off my phone, which is such a shame. It's not the end of the world though. I mean, there are a million different videos on how to put this Veltrim on your van. I'm going to stick a link into the Campervan's video because it shows you exactly what I did basically, so you get a rough idea. It may not look the best at the moment, but the bits that you're going to see are the most important bits, and they are fine, as you can see all down here, the wheel arches. I did also put the rubber matting that's on the floor, which we did in the last video. I actually put that on the wheel arches, and I put some up in the roof here, as you can see, because there was enough left and it just seemed crazy not to. And I've also kind of trimmed back this recycled bottles insulation, the extra insulation as it was. So when we put the new boards on, which we're going to carpet hopefully today, that will all squash in nicely and it'll make a nice little seal there. So that's nothing to be concerned about. These little bits of glue you can see up here as well, they come off very easily. I might even show you how to do that. This little scuff over here, not going to worry about that. There's a board coming all the way down there. Talking of which, that was the board that was supposed to fit in that rear quarter over there. It doesn't fit, and I've no idea why, because I bought the ply line kit and that sliding door works, the floor works, and that corner there doesn't work. And this side obviously here, well, I'm assuming it bloody fits, because if it doesn't, I'm in real trouble and I'm going to have to go and spend even more money. But I'm going to offer that up in a minute. But suffice to say, this rear quarter here, the near side quarter, doesn't fit here. And I don't know if that's because it's for a T5.1, because mine's only a T5 obviously, so I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to have to look into that. I may have to get a piece cut specifically, because obviously I don't want to buy a whole kit, but that's kind of put me on the back foot, as it were. There's the lining for this side here as well. I'm going to offer that up in a minute, because I've got a horrible feeling if that side doesn't fit, it's entirely possible that this side here isn't going to fit either, which is going to be bloody disastrous. But we'll find out. We'll offer it up in a second, and we will get back into this video as soon as I can do that, and then I'll give you an update on what's happening. Alright, we're back. We've got the big major board up here, but as you can see, it's going to be a bit of a problem because we've also got rubber matting down, and we've got this whole floor to go down, which as you can see is probably 12, maybe even 14 mil, and this is jammed in there now, which basically means this floor will not go underneath it. So I am going to have to modify things, which isn't ideal, but with these kind of projects, it's always like that. The things will just come and bite you in the arse. I don't think this is actually the right ply line for this van. I think it came out of a T5.1 or something like that, maybe even a T6, I have no idea. I mean, it kind of fits around there, but it's not perfect. When it's all pushed in, as you can see, you'll never notice it, and it will, of course, all be pushed in. It'll all be carpeted and all the rest, so you'll never notice it. Plus, obviously, there's a huge kind of kitchen and bed thing that's going to come all the way across here, so you'll never see that little bit over there. But I think the simplest solution for me is going to be chopping off a little bit from either this sheet here or the floor. I'm thinking probably the floor is the easiest thing, but I'm not quite sure which way to go with it, so we'll chime back in once I've worked everything out. Alright, a little bit of progress then, guys. What I did is I used my trusty old little jigsaw down there, which I bought for my first ever campervan conversion, and it still works perfectly well. The line isn't cut perfectly down there, but that's because basically this board isn't as straight as it should be, but you'll never notice it down there because obviously there's going to be a kitchen unit down there anyway, and it fits in lovely down here, apart from this little bit here, which I could, if I had to, put a little bit of block of wood in there. But again, there's going to be a sofa coming around here, so I'm really not going to break my own balls over it. So effectively what I've got to do is carpet this board here. I've got to carpet the board that goes on the sliding door. I've got to carpet the boards that go on to the barn doors over here, and then I've got to try and work out where I can find this rear quarter, this rear near side quarter ply, because I don't have it. I've got the roof coming today or tomorrow, I think, really, but we're not in a bad place. As you can see, all that will pull in, so that's not a huge problem. It may be a little bit thicker. Well, it will be a little bit thicker once the Veltrim goes on, but not a huge amount, because obviously Veltrim is incredibly thin. If you've ever used it before, you'll know exactly what I mean. So for the rest of the day, I'm going to take this plyboard out. I'm going to try to carpet it, and I'm going to carpet the sections for the sliding door and the barn doors as well. That'll probably be it for today, just purely because I am stuck with this quarter over here. I was really hoping to get that done, but you know, such is life. You can now see it, how it's coming together though, you know, because obviously we've done the wheel arches, that's all done and in place now. And again, you really don't need to break your balls over these kind of things too much, because if you're putting furniture in like I'm going to do, you'll never see half of this stuff anyway. It is always nice to do as good a job as you can, I get that. And I may have to trim just a couple of mil off the top of this because of the carpet. But we'll see. What I'll do is I'll carpet it and I'll see where we need to be. I'll decide as we go along, basically, which, as I said, is part of the course for these kind of conversions. You have a plan in your mind, and then that will change 1,000 times, because, you know, things will just come along, you know, obstacles will come along, get in your way, and you'll have to adapt, basically. That's what campervan conversions are all about, basically, adapting your plans to suit the environment you're in, you know, because unless you go out and spend, you know, 500 quid on a dedicated ply lining kit and roofing and all that kind of good stuff, then, you know, you want to do it on a budget, you've got to adapt. Simple as that. Anyway, enough waffle. I've got to get on with this because there is still so much to do, but we are coming along. The floor is in. I've got to cut out these little kind of circular bits here as well. I've got to find this rear quarter, and I've got to carpet, all sorts of other bits. I may show you a little bit of my process for carpeting the panels, but again, if I don't worry too much about it. There are a million different videos out there showing you how to put Veltrim on. It's literally glue both sides, stick it together. It's not rocket science, and I've got it covered in my other videos as well. I may film it, I may not, but we will cut back in shortly once I've made some kind of plan. Okay, well, change of plans again then. My stupidity made me think that this quarter panel here didn't actually fit the T5, and it does. It goes right to the floor there, it just doesn't go to the floor there, so I couldn't work out how it fits in. But as you can see, it fits perfectly. There's no problem there at all. So what we will do now is get on and carpet this and that little section over there and the two barn doors. And then, basically, I'm going to have to wait to carpet this, because I've still got to get this one in and make sure all the measurements are correct with that. And I've also got to cut the lino for the floor, sorry, and I'm going to need a large piece of hardboard to cut the liner on, because I don't want to cut a Stanley blade into concrete. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, I've got it all in my mind, and it'll all become so incredibly obvious when I start doing it. But suffice to say, I've got to cut some lino out, and I need a nice wooden sheet, a large wooden sheet, so I can cut that lino into shape for this floor, because as you can see, it's a bit of a complex shape. It kind of bends around and goes all over the place. So the plan is basically to have a nice, this piece here on the floor, then to lay the lino on top of that, and then lay the floor on top of the lino and cut the shape out, if that makes sense. It makes sense in my mind. It may not make sense practically, but it makes sense in my mind. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to lay down this floor, lay the lino, lay this floor, cut it all out, carpet this, put it back in, lino the floor, and we are going to be so close to being done now. The unfortunate thing is, because of the paint job, it has to go back in to have a couple of little touch-ups. Nothing major, just a couple of little touch-ups, which basically means I can't carpet the inside of any of the doors until it comes back, because of little things which I will explain to you in the next video. Basically, it's got to have just a couple of little touch-ups, and I can't carpet the doors until it comes back from paint, which is a bit of a shame, because I could have done all of that today. But hey ho, you adapt, as I said. So we'll get on and we'll carpet the panels that we can carpet today, and we'll cut back in when we're doing that. Okay, so there's the main board, the near side rear quarter. What I'm going to do is show you how I measure this. Now, don't judge me, this is just the way I do things. You could do it differently, other people I know do it differently, but I always leave myself more than enough that I'm going to need, because trust me, I know from after, well, this is my 5th one now, there's nothing worse than having too little carpet. There's always better to have too much, and I have got a load of it. So what I'm going to do, in fact, I've already measured it, so I won't even bother showing you. I basically measure from the widest points here to here. That's as far as it's going to go, obviously, with this little lip here, and I'll measure that, and I'll add in an extra 20 centimeters, and I'll do exactly the same here, go all the way down to its lowest point and add an extra 20 centimeters. That gives you 10 centimeters to fold over each side when you start to glue it. More than enough. I know you probably need 5, but I like to have more than less, shall we say, in that respect. So I know for a fact that that down there is 130, so I will cut 150. This across here is 113, so I'm going to cut 120 or something like that, 125, just to give myself more of an overlap than I need, because as I said, there's nothing worse than trying to stretch it, because you've got like 2 centimeters to fold over when you do the carpet effectively. But I'll show you more of that as we go along. So as you can see, I have cut out the piece now, 150 by 130, I think I did in the end. More than enough, more than enough. But as you can see, it overlaps really, really nicely. And as I said, you do want more than less, because if you've got less, you've got to start all over again. If you've got more, all you've got to do is trim. I would always opt for just cutting a bit more. I mean, obviously, if you're working within a really super tight budget and you've only ordered exactly enough for your van, then you're going to have to go a different way. But I always over-order the Veltrim I need, and that way I can actually cut it just a little bit more than I need to. plus obviously the fact that you can cut it a little bit rougher as well. If you order exact sizing, then basically you're going to have to measure and just make sure your lines are 100% straight so you don't kind of veer off course. With me, I can just literally lay it on the kitchen floor, cut it with a pair of scissors, slap it on, trim it where I need to, and I'm done. It's just a lazy way of doing things, but it's worth me spending a few extra quid to have the ease of doing it the way I do it. So anyway, let's get some glue on and see how we get on with doing this first rear quarter panel. One last thing I like to do just before I actually start laying the glue on is just go around the panel that you're going to do and the bit that you're going to glue. Actually, get yourself a little razor blade like so and just go around the panel and rub it around it so you can see if there's any little knobbles sticking up, because trust me, this Veltrim is normally quite thin, and if you've got a little paint blob, a little bit of wood chip or anything, a little bit of glue, it will show underneath. So it's worth just literally getting the razor blade and just running it just like that. Effectively just run it across the board, give it a quick sweep over before you lay the first layer of glue, or the only layer of glue on, and then at least you know it's going to be absolutely flat on there. That's the other bit of advice I'd give you. Just run a little razor blade over the top of it, because where you see these little screw holes where this was fitted previously, you might get a little bit of wood burr, as it were, on the screw hole. So just run anything across it. I use a razor blade and it'll just get rid of any kind of drama you might have. I just find for that 3 minutes it's going to take to do it, it could save you a lot of hassle. Alright, we are pretty much ready to go here with the glue and basically to get this stuck down to this rear quarter panel. What I tend to do in this situation is I'll fold over this first part here, maybe a foot or so, and then just glue the carpet and the wood, and that'll be my focal starting point there, because once that's in, you know you can just stretch it down all the way across, and when it's done, then you can flip it over, do the other side, trim it as you need it, and you are pretty much done. I mean, it could not be a simpler process. It really is that simple. Obviously you don't want to get glue on to the face side of the carpet, so it's always a good idea also to just get a little bit of something. I've just used a rubber pad there just to get it underneath this lip here, so all you're going to do is get it on the back of the carpet and on the wood, and then obviously you'll just fold it over. Once that's done, then you'll start lifting from this side and working your way down. It'll become obvious obviously as we go through this. So we are pretty much done with that rear near side quarter panel now. At the end of the day, guys, I do it my way. I'm not telling you that's the way to do it. I'm not saying that's the way you should do it. It's just like, this is my 5th one of these now, and I've learned how to do it the easiest way, shall we say. And that, for me, is the easiest way. It's not the prettiest on the back, but you're never going to see it. So it's another case of, don't bust your balls about what it's going to look like on the opposite side of where you're carpeting. As you can see, once it's in situ, see if I can get rid of some of that sunlight. Once it's in situ and the roof is in as well and the floor is in, you're never going to know what's going on behind that. I mean, obviously all this needs to be screwed in, but as you can see, it's already starting to take shape. That took all of 15 minutes, I would say, to actually do that the way I wanted it to be done. And as you can see, it's turned out fine. That's no problem at all. Once we've got this one in, and that door's carpeted, and this panel's carpeted, and the roof is a different colour, by the way, carpeted, and the vinyl's down. This van is going to be transformed. It's as simple as that. But I'm hoping that's going to be of some interest to you if you want to see the easy ways, I would call it, to Veltrim one of your side panels there. I mean, as I said, I did it on my driveway on a windy day in the middle of October with half a can of glue, and that's how it turned out, 10-15 minutes. So basically you could do that one, and you could do that one and the two barn doors probably in an hour, I would say, and then give yourself another hour for that one there, because it's awkward, as simple as that. I mean, if you're working in a garage and you've got trestles or a nice big table and all that kind of stuff, and you're in the warm and you've got the radio playing and a cup of coffee, fabulous. Take all day about it, make it look as best as it possibly can, fabulous, you know, go for it. But if you want to driveway like me in October, and you know you've got cuts all over your hands and you're just trying to get on with it, then you know this is the way you can do it. It's not a bodge, it's just the simple way, and I'd like to call it. There does seem to be a bit of a line going down here, but I think that's just gonna brush out. Yeah, that's gone already, so don't worry about that too much. Anyway, that's it, that's all I can do. I've run out of glue, I've got nothing left, so basically I have chopped the board to fit with this new liner here. I've carpeted this liner here, and I'm going to measure out for the rear barn doors and that little sliding door over there, and then wait to get some glue, and we will be back and I'll finish this off. So finally we are done, guys. All the carpeting is done, all the panels are in place and bolted in, and the electrics have been put through. What I did is I obviously ran a cable straight through to the battery under the bonnet, and I've earthed it out against the chassis body there, and there is the cable coming down for these lovely downlights, which I've also put in. This is the kind of, not false ceiling per se, but I guess false ceiling is probably the right terminology. From that massive shout out to Cool Whip Campers as well in Tor Point. They helped me out with this ceiling here. I decided to go for a one-piece because I don't really like the look of a two-piece. I just think it looks so much cleaner here, and that as it is there, it's obviously cut to fit into these corners here and rounded off here as well, as you can see. I just think it's such a nice look, and they did me such a really nice deal with this huge piece of ply here. If you want to get yourself a single piece of ply, any kind of ply kits, T5s, T4s, T6s, anything like that, the link is in the description as well. I'll shove their webpage up on here as well, so you can have just a little look. They also do Campervan pods as well, kitchen pods and rock and roll beds, all that kind of good stuff. They are incredibly friendly guys. I have a chat to a guy there called Anthony, really friendly guy, and they've got some amazing designs. You can actually go onto their website and kind of design your own look for your campervan. You choose which pods you want, which beds you want, which kitchen units you want, all that kind of good stuff. They've got this kind of whole computerized graphic thing where you can, as I said, just choose your color, choose what you want, and it'll give you a final price of that example of that you've chosen would be, and then obviously you just go and collect it, or they'll ship it out to you. Cool Whip Campers down in Tor Point, just outside Plymouth, basically on the border of Cornwall and Devon. Really nice guys. Huge thank you to them for supplying this one-piece roof ply lining here, which, as I said, I do much prefer. All the sides are done as well, as you can see, and the floor's in. Didn't show you that, it's just too easy basically. I found this piece on eBay as well. It's about 40 quid, believe it or not, for this bit of floor, and I think that's really nice. I think it's going to go very well, and the seats have been pulled back, if you're wondering what that's all about, because we've got some seat covers coming. But all the carpeting is done now, as you can see, and the roof's done. All I've got to do is put one more light just in up here, which we're going to use the connector for the sliding and rear doors as well. So basically when you open the sliding or rear doors, the light will come on just to give you a kind of a welcome light, as it were. And then the kitchen unit is going to go here somewhere with the bed and the sofa, and we're going to put a dimmer switch in for these kind of down lights here. But that is all to come in the next kind of set of videos. I did obviously do the installation for the floor as well. There's a separate video for that which will be coming up in the next week or so as well. That came from Vandalized. Really lovely bunch of guys there as well. If you need some stuff for your camper conversion, we have insulated the entire floor here as well and sound deadened it. But as I said, there's a video coming up for that, so if you're interested, then make sure you're subscribed to see that as well. And basically that is almost it for the carpeting side. One last thing though, I would suggest you get yourself a set of these. Maybe that'll make things a little bit easier. Get yourself a set of these as well. They're effectively kind of lightweight acro props, and they are so useful, almost essential for putting the roof up, because these kind of swivel around here, bottom and top, and effectively what you do is you just clamp them up and as you can see, that raises them up onto the roof. So basically, if you're going to do this job on your own, you can use one of these acro props here to hold one end in while you do the other end, etc, etc. And when you want to push the panels into the side, you can also do it this way. So you're basically putting the pressure on the plied panels while you put the screws in, so you don't have to kind of hold it with your knee and trying to get the screw in. These are really, really good. I found these, let me put that down. I found these online. I'll put a link in the description, not sponsored or anything like that, but they were about 35 quid for the pair shipped, and I think this is going to make your life so much easier. And as I said, you can use it to kind of brace the sideboards and obviously to put the roof up. So that's it. As I said, if you're interested in any more of this series, then don't forget to subscribe, like, share the video, thumbs up, all that kind of good stuff. And we will be back in a couple of weeks where we will either be showing you the new look, the huge transformation we've done to this van, or we will be showing you the floor insulation from Vandalized. Not quite sure which kind of way that's going to go yet, which upload's going to go in the series. It's all a little bit higgledy-piggledy because I'm trying to just make these videos up and edit them for you guys and upload them as quickly as I can so you don't get too bored. But as you can see, we have made quite a fair amount of progress. I also insulated these as well, the wheel arches here, just because I thought they needed it, and I think they've come out quite well. Anyway, as I said, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and give the video a thumbs up, and we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. But the carpeting is done. I'm so happy that's out of the way. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope it helped. Don't forget, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with some more.